So, Woj, what is the latest on his hamstring for this Game 3?
Well, they're still evaluating that hamstring in Indiana, but there's no question there's real concern for Tyrese Haliburton. Not just if he would potentially miss a Game 3 or a Game 4, but if he plays and he's not at 100%, they need him at a really high level to get back into this series. Remember, he missed 10 games in January with that left hamstring, came back once for Pascal Siakam's debut in Portland, didn't feel right and missed more time, but certainly a lot of concern around it. They're evaluating it still today. No clear answer yet on his availability for Game 3, but we know with that injury, you saw OG Anunoby come back with a hamstring injury, was not himself, didn't last long in that one game. That was over having been out over a week.
Right.
But certainly Tyrese Haliburton's going to do everything he can to play Game 3, to play Game 4, to still, try to help this Indiana team. But still too soon yet to know about his availability tomorrow night. In
those 10 games that he missed, right, in mid to late January, the Pacers were 6-4 in those games, but it seems difficult to imagine them being able to advance with a hobbled Tyrese Haliburton, Chiney.
Yeah, based on what Woj said, they need a high-level Tyrese Haliburton to really advance, so I think it's going to be very difficult. But the bright spots maybe would be Pascal Siakam. His play was truly tremendous, and I think it forced a lot of people to question, why do you keep him on the bench so long, even if you could try to chip away at that lead? And then secondly, Miles Turner, he got into early foul trouble, and I think that affected his chemistry moving forward. He only had 8 points. So if he stays out of foul trouble, he provides some defense. Pascal, they could be in the mix, but overall, I think it's a hard uphill climb without Tyrese.
Should we give the Indiana Pacers fans some good news, just reminding everybody that they are undefeated at home, right, this postseason?
Why are you laughing?
Until this weekend.
Well, they've been very, very good at home. They have been good at home. I'm just trying to give something.
I know.
Right,
I tried to
hang on to.
PERK with the reality check.
The status there of Tyrese Haliburton, with or without them, though. Dominant performance, right? What did you learn about Boston in last night's win?
Well, one, that was the most impressive win of the season, I thought. I thought they were actually prepared. They played their style. I thought, although Pascal Siakam got in his bag, they were tough contested shots. Two, that Jaylen Brown is the best player on the team. He's the best player on the team. He's been the best player in this postseason. When he comes down to him being in attack mode and standing on business, averaging close to 25 points a game, shooting almost 55% from the field. Damn, what else do we have to do? And last night is a prime example of rising to the occasion and taking things personal, right? Not making an all-NBA team. He came into that game pissed off, and he handed them a 40-piece, all flats, lemon pepper. Yeah.
Lemon pepper. That's my preferred.
Hold on. PERK. Hello from beaming in. First of all, 2008 Celtics mention everybody drink.
Oh,
Second
hilarious.
of all,
It's a Friday.
You said Jaylen Brown. I just want to be clear on a couple of things. Number one, you said Jaylen Brown is now the best player on the team. And number two, does that mean, in your opinion, that the Celtics should run more of their offense through him than they do Jason Tatum, that he's now the number one ball handler, number one option in your mind in big games?
Yeah, why not? Because all postseason long, we've been waiting for Jason Tatum to have his moments and wondering if he could come up big in the clutch. Did he have a good performance in Game 1 in overtime? Absolutely, but they had to get to overtime. How did they get there? On the back of Jaylen Brown and a little bit of help from Jrue Holiday.
So personally, I get a little jittery when we do this because teams don't like it. Teams don't like it when we pit their best players against each other and foment division within the team. Why can't it just be both of their teams? But PERK, last night I was in Boston watching that first half, last 5 minutes of the second quarter, first couple minutes of the third quarter. Jason Tatum was doing nothing. He was standing in the left corner, not involved in the offense over and over again. And some of that was Jaylen Brown was just cooking. So let the guy cook. Let him show the All-NBA voters that they were wrong. But some of it was he's slumping from three, and he's just got to be more involved in that. And I was watching those possessions and thinking to myself, oh, my God, is Jason Tatum kind of having a moment right now? Is this going to be – are we going to look back at this if the Celtics lose the finals as the moment, the game where their season kind of went sideways, and then he got himself back into the game. But I'll say this, Perk. I still think Tatum is the best player on the team, but I don't really care because it's all their teams. But just remember when we're ready to move on from Jason Tatum is 1A. This dude scored 50 in a Game 7 last year and 40-something in Milwaukee in a must-win Game 6 2 seasons ago. He's going to have a game sooner or later where he reminds everybody why he has been the 1A on this team.
Zach, it's not about having a game. It's about putting together multiple games in a row. He haven't done that this season.
Then he'll do that. He'll do that. He'll do
when?
it. It's coming.
When?
It'll come.
After the championship, when he go play Summer League?
Well, look, let's face it, Perk. The Celtics are getting a bye to the finals. I mean, that's what's happening here. And so we're going to judge them based on what happens in the finals, assuming they get here. Because if Tyrese Haliburton can't come back and play this series, you would be hard-pressed to find an easier road to the finals in the entire history of the league. So it's what happens after this series that's ultimately going to matter the most.
Sure, you're looking at injuries. Basically, they faced injury-ridden teams. No Jimmy Butler in the first round. No Donovan Mitchell or Jarrett Allen in the second. Even Jaylen Brunson couldn't finish, in the first and second rounds. You're talking about injury-ridden teams. Obviously, Jaylen Brunson facing the Indiana Pacers and now Tyrese Haliburton. But let's just do this as a thought exercise, Chiney. Let's say Jaylen Brown is the best player right now on the Boston Celtics. Let's just say that for argument's sake. What does that mean for their championship aspirations?
That they got to the championship round, that they got to the NBA Finals because of Jaylen Brown. I mean, his talent is good enough for them to advance with him in this series being the best. And guess what? That's okay. One of the favorite games that we had in childhood was tag, y'all. And what I love about tag is you take turns being it. Why is it that when it comes to this Boston Celtics team, we have issues when they take turns being it? Because the way you talk, Perk, about the Dallas Mavericks is like, oh, Kyrie stepping up. It's so important for them and their cohesion and all of that, right? But when we talk about the Boston Celtics, it's like, oh, well, Jason Tatum leaves much to be desired, which is true. There are some blemishes to what we have seen so far in this postseason. He didn't start the game off well, but he finished well. He's still averaging 29 points per game in the postseason. When people were so critical of him in Game 1, he had 36 and 12. And so if Jaylen Brown is able to shoulder some of the load in which Jason Tatum did the same thing in the regular season, which earned him first-team All-NBA, like, it's okay if the pressure is not necessarily always on him.
What's different about Boston, they have a greater margin for error than anybody in the league. They are the best team. They are the deepest team. And Derek White can carry them in a night. Kristaps Porzingis can carry them. It doesn't have to be Brown and Tatum all the time. That's what makes them so unique. Drew Holiday. And so they don't depend on their two best players necessarily the way every other team still alive in the postseason does.
I understand that. But, ma'am, I wasn't the one that went on the interview with Malika Andrews and said that every single night I feel like I'm the best player on the floor.
I have a question. Does Anthony Edwards have that same mentality?
What you mean?
Like, doesn't he believe that same thing when he steps on the floor? Does Luka Doncic believe the same thing? He's saying he's manifesting it into his game.
But listen, my thing is we're talking about two different things, right? When you look at Anthony Edwards and Luka, we're talking about guys who are finally going through it. Jason Tatum has been there. He needs to complete the mission. He knows that. He's the one that's been on record saying he can't wait for this moment. And when you can't wait for this moment, damn the moment here, embrace the moment.
But by design, as Woj said, the Boston Celtics were to take the pressure off of him to be able to have different performances.
Quick question. If Jason Tatum continued this play right here, you believe they could complete the mission and win the NBA championship?
He's averaging almost 30 points per game.
Can they complete the mission against Dallas?
They will need more from Jason.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes, they can.
There's Zach. Yes, they can. Si se puede.